My next guest is Lisa Rickard of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to talk about some legal reforms that were recently enacted in Mississippi, a place that has long been known as a playground for plaintiffs' lawyers. Welcome, Ms. Rickard.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
So Mississippi has just passed what's known as sunshine legislation. Can you tell us how this kind of legislation works and, even more importantly, why it's needed?
Sure. This is an Attorney General sunshine bill. And essentially what it does is it reins in a really troubling practice that has been occurring in Mississippi as well as in some other states. But this bill is specific to Mississippi. And what it does is it essentially reins in or curbs the Attorney General's ability to hire contingency fee counsel outside private plaintiffs' firms on behalf of the state. A lot of times what's happening is they're hiring these plaintiffs' firms and they're also making contributions at the same time to the AG's re-election campaign. And so it's a pay-to-play arrangement, so to speak. What this legislation does is it reins in fees. It requires transparency. They have to disclose the terms of the contract on the internet. And it really brings a lot of sunlight and transparency to the act of contracting with outside contingency fee lawyers. It's one of the strongest bills in the nation.
Now, proponents of these contingency fee arrangements say that they save the state money. The private firms come in, they front all the cost of any litigation. They only get paid if they win the case. So they see this as a money saver. How do you respond to that?
Well, it's not a money saver when the private attorneys firms are coming in and they're walking off with a third or over a third of the money. That's money in legal fees that's coming straight out of the pockets of the taxpayers, for instance, of the state of Mississippi. So in this instance, you can still hire a contingency fee lawyer, but you have to be transparent and disclose the terms of the contract. And then it puts caps on the total amount of fees that can be recovered. That cap, Jason, is $50 million. It's a lot of money. So what you're basically stopping is these sort of jackpot situations where they're coming in and walking away with tens of millions of dollars in legal fees that really could be going into the state coffers.
Okay, now you mentioned earlier that Mississippi isn't the only place that's been passing this sort of legislation. Where else have we seen measures like this being passed, and what's the trend? Do you see this expanding to other parts of the country?
Well, we've seen quite a few states in the past few years pass this type of legislation. In 2010, Florida passed a bill with the support of the former state attorney general, Bill McCollum. It's a bill very similar to Mississippi's in that it caps fees and requires transparency. Just last year in 2011, Indiana, Missouri, and Arizona also passed bills similar in nature to the Mississippi bill, but not quite as strong as the Mississippi bill. So we're really seeing a trend, I think, in the right direction to bring sunshine and transparency to these contracting arrangements.